Hey, what's up, everyone? Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you for taking time out of your day to get some of the education you need around coin collecting. Okay, and one of those things that we're going to talk about today that I think is very important, and I've just gotten a huge run of this particular topic. All right, and that's going to revolve around which coins, error coins, you should actually send out to grade. But to kind of make it a little bit easier, we're going to talk about the three US coin errors that you should not grade at all, as kind of a way of just, doing the process of elimination. I mean, these three coin errors have been around for a long time. All right. A lot of people, especially the newer folks that are just getting into coin collecting, think that these particular errors are worth a lot more on that kind of like pedestal of coin anomalies that no doubt about it you should get graded. But I wanted to take some time to talk about these three errors. And most importantly, we're going to take a look at some of the sold listings of each of the three US coin errors we're going to talk about in this video. So that way you can get a clear and concise view of how much these are selling for in graded slabs compared to how much they would normally sell for if you don't get them graded. All right, grading, as you guys know, whether it's through PCGS, NGC, Annex, ICG, there are a few companies very reputable out there today that you could use, but keep in mind they all cost some sort of money. Generally, with error coin attributions, it could be anywhere from 25 to 40 bucks. All right, depends on how quickly you need your coin back. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. That's important to me, and it'll ensure that we go a long way on this channel to addressing some high quality stuff for you. All right, so the first coin on the list is going to be low to medium interest strike-through errors. Okay, so what exactly do we mean by low to medium interest? Low to medium interest kind of covers these bases. Struck through grease, struck through debris, maybe struck through, a wood fragment or some reading, a fallen off reading off another coin that had fallen onto a blank planchet before the strike. These are all what I consider to be low to medium interest strike through errors. Now, to kind of address the 800-pound pink elephant in the room, what would we consider to be major strike throughs? A major strike through would be anything just like kind of off the wall. A strike through another coin, strike through a spring, something that had fallen off of the mint press, a component or a part, things of that nature. Just kind of like the most egregious, kind of like rare strike throughs. There are even some coins that are struck through emery board or emery sandpaper type material. We've seen a number of silver eagles that were produced which struck through emery. All right, so that's and duct tape. Duct tape's another one. There's a few. I would say another one that I think is kind of threading the line between medium and high interest would be strike through bristle, all right, or string. Okay, those are, or cloth. Those are kind of like what I would consider to be the kind of like the lowest type interest type coins that I would consider grading. So anything underneath struck through string, wire bristle, or cloth, I would not even consider. Okay, now the Kennedy $half that you see here looks impressive. I mean, it struck through a bunch of grease on that obverse die, and when it has to strike through that amount of material before the die even hits the coin or the planchet, all right, you're going to have a lot of the grease obscure the devices. Generally, you are going to see this on the edge. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at a few of the completed sales. And the best website I like to use is Great Collections. Okay, they've been tried and true in producing some pretty nice sales on graded coins. So this will give you guys kind of like that 10,000 foot view of, just the whole landscape of coins. And what we have here, of course, I've typed in strike through. I just wanted to make you guys aware that we're using strike through as a keyword search in Great Collections, and we are in the error coins section of the classic archive. So if you guys wanted to check for yourself how much specific graded coins are selling for, you could always use Great Collections. It's really easy. It's kind of dummy proof, to be blunt. All right, so anyone can use this with relative ease. All right, so we're going to start out with some of the most recent of coins. Okay, we are in December. This is the most recent sales, December 20, December 13. And then if we look on down the line of just the first 5 coins, okay, you're going to notice one thing. 4 out of the 5 sold pretty close to what the grading fee would be if you sent these to their respective graders. Okay, now there's a few annex in there, which are probably one of the cheapest grading services to use. But take a look at the coin in which it sold, $24, and that's including the seller fees. Okay, so in hindsight, the coin actually sold for 19, but the seller fees brought it up to 24. All right, so this coin right here, the 95p Kennedy, is actually the coin that you saw a few moments ago on the slide. All right, so mid-state 63, 95, struck through lots of grease, sold for $24. And again, that's with the buyer's fee in there. So obviously, you could sell the coin raw, which is not graded, and probably get close to that $24 and maybe even a little bit more. You don't know. Now, here's the 36 Daniel Boone bicentennial commemorative. Of course, those are very valuable coins in their own right, so therefore, the amount of money that it sold for, this $175.50, is more of a market value of the coin without any sort of error on it. But take a look at some of these other ones. Here's the Eisenhower dollar. Ike dollar is a little bit tougher to find errors on. Sold for $33.99. Type 3. All right, so, this is strike through on the reverse. There you go. Really don't see a whole lot. I see more deteriorated dye than anything else on this one. So, you can see a little bit of the light, the lightest of strikes on the stars, okay, which might indicate a little bit of grease action on there. But all in all, this is a really minor coin. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more before we go ahead and jump onto another one. Now, let's see. Strike through. We'll get down a little bit further. How about that? Okay, so how about the 2007 $1 presidential dollar George Washington? Okay, this one is graded by ICG as a mid-state 63. Double mint error, strike through grease, missing edge lettering. Okay, so this is a double whammy. All right, now the George Washington is the most common president out of all of them to feature missing edge lettering. Okay, people do collect those. But this one is also struck through grease. If we looked at the obverse, you could see some of the missing or weak struck areas because of the obscurity of grease on the die before this thing was struck. You can even see some of the flow of the grease. These radial lines right here that go all the way around. That's where actually, some grease had flowed outwards upon the strike. But you can see a lot of the lightness of the strike here on the profile of George Washington. All right. Don't know if there's anything on the reverse, but let's go ahead and take a look. Not really anything here. You can see some right here. See this dark area here in between these... the part of the crown on Lady Liberty, and then over here on the arm, that's a little bit of area where there might have been a little bit of strike through at one point. All right, and this one sold for excuse me, $24.19. All right, so that is strike through errors. Let's go ahead and take a look at coin number 2 that I would not grade, and that's going to be a lamination. I know you guys are probably thinking to yourself, man, is this guy crazy or what? So lamination, all types. It could be small little pieces of lamination. It could be large lamination, fully involved obverse or reverse lamination. It could be a retained lamination like you see on this beautiful 1940 Lincoln cent right here, where the piece is actually still stuck to the coin, okay, which, that can happen. Lamination is simply just an error term to help describe a coin that has an improper alloy mix, okay, and it all starts from the original manufacture of the planchets before they're even, struck into coins. So when the copper and the zinc kind of mix doesn't mix as well, it's like baking a cake, right, guys? You gotta mix, the eggs with the flour, and it has to be just right. If you don't do it completely, then, your cake's not going to turn out too well. Same with coins. If the metals aren't mixed properly, you're going to get stuff like this. So you're going to get impurities like the laminate, where the coin begins to flake. All right. If it's flaking off and, you have something called a lamination, there's also woody coins, which, you see on Lincoln cents, you see them on Jefferson nickels, you see them on a few different types of coins. Generally, you won't see them too often in silver, but usually nickel, bronze type alloys will show some of the woody texture. That's also another type of improper alloy mix. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the lamination coins. Again, we are still on Great Collections. I have another window open that says lamination. All the lamination coins that have sold within, the life of this website, and it's in the error coins section. All right. So there are some obviously that sold for a little bit more, but you got to look at the coin too. That's a Morgan dollar. All right. So we'll probably skip something like that. Lots of Franklin halves here starting out. We're going to go down a little bit further past the Jepson signed labels. And let's see. So here's a 1944 Jefferson nickel, obverse and reverse laminations. This is an NGC Mint State 65. This one sold November 22nd of this year. Okay, let's go and, first principal deputy director of the U.S. Mint doesn't command a whole lot of extra money. But you can see a little light laminations right here. It's not too fully involved. It looks a little bit more here on the reverse. All right, so some would even say that laminations on quality coins, especially older classics, actually kind of hurts the value. All right, so in this particular case, this is a good looking coin, but the lamination actually holds it back a little bit more. The thing about lamination on a nickel is if it's in the wrong spot, okay, it actually does more detriment. Like this coin could have been a full steps if it wasn't for the lamination, that improper alloy mix on there. So you can see just some flaking going on here on the reverse of the coin. And this one sold for $37.11. Okay, you factor in, let's say on average $25 to send this to NGC. And then, you do a little bit of basic math, and then, you'll net $12, a little bit extra, but how much is that is going to be going toward shipping? Or maybe insurance, because you do have to insure it, to protect your investment when you send these coins out to the graders. All right. Pieces of mail get lost all the time. You want to make sure that you're covered. All right. So in hindsight, you could sell this coin as is and probably make about $20-30 as it sits instead of grading it and then selling it, especially on Great Collections. Okay, because you got to pay them the buyer's fee and the seller's fee. There's a lot of different fees involved when you're selling, even on eBay. You got to pay the seller fees on eBay too. Let's go and check out. Let's see if we can find a penny here. So this is a 1889. It's probably a bad example because it's a $400 coin, and it's an Indian head cent that grades really high. But let's see. We have quite a few of them here. There's another nickel. I really want a Lincoln cent. Okay. Here's a 78 Eisenhower dollar, Annex Mint State 62 with a lamination. And that's actually right there on the obverse. You can see that little copper spot. So the top layer of nickel had fallen off because of the impurities. And yeah, there you go. So that one sold for $31. We roll. I mean, you could check out all the prices. Here's a 24D lamination on rim. I mean, like it only sold for 18 bucks. It's a fine 12. All right. All right. Well, take a look at that. There's the 1940 Lincoln that sold for $19. This is actually the coin that I featured on my slide, my PowerPoint slide. There you go, 1940 with that guy right there. Does that look familiar? Same coin, sold for 19 bucks. All right, so at the end of the day, you would have lost money sending this to Annex, even though it's Annex, and their fees can be a little bit cheaper, probably 10, 15 bucks. At the end of the day, you would lose money. All right, there's just no money to be made here. And people that generally ask, should I grade this? Normally, 95% of the time, it's going to be to resell. Okay, very seldom do you find someone that wants to ask and say, should I get this graded? And say, oh, I'm just going to keep it. That is a very low percentage. A lot of people are enamored with the fact that you could find these in circulation or through cherry picking and then grading it and then flipping it. Okay, that's the thing today. A lot of people need the extra income. That's what people are doing. All right, so that's laminations. And then the final one that you guys ought to know about that you should not grade are going to be the minor die chips and die cracks. You guys know what those are, okay? Not including the cut die breaks and shattered dies. I think those are best reserved as possibilities of sending out to Annex or possibly NGC or PCGS. I mean, it's really up to the owner of said coins if whether or not they want to do that. Of course, grading. The numerical grade plays a huge factor. So if you have either a cut or a shattered die error coin, if it's been cleaned or it's a low grade, it's probably not worth sending out to a grader. So you have to also take that into consideration. But minor die chips and die cracks. So people will send me a coin that looks like this. This is a 55S Lincoln Wheatstone. It's in good shape. And as you can tell, you can see the actual the grade slab little things that hold the coin into its respective place in the slab. But this one has a die chip in the 5. You see that right there? That's pretty common. We find die chips in the date. We find it in Liberty. Okay, if we find it between B and E, that's called a BIE cent. We find them in Lincoln's dome piece. So you'll see a crack that goes from the rim to his hair, and then it makes all sorts of little die chips, and you see a cracked skull and all that stuff. Even those, don't grade them. All right, they're worth very minimally in the secondary market if that's your motivation. Those are a type of coins that generally you could just take great pictures, you go and sell them on eBay and sell them for 10 to 20 bucks. And then guess what? You didn't grade it. So, it's all pure profit into your pocket. All right, so minor die chips and die cracks. All right, we are not grading those. Not a good idea. So, this is the 1955S Lincoln that we had on the slide. And this one sold for 35 bucks. All right, it's impressive. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's PCGS Mint State 65 red, which for the date is extremely common. I mean, you would have to find a grade for 55S of Mint State 67 plus or thereabouts to have a coin that's worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So this particular one with that die chip in the date sold for only $35. If you found this coin in a Mint State condition like this, full red, send it out at Mint State 65, it comes back, you sell it, and then you weigh, the difference on how much you would make. You would probably make about $5. That's it. $5 when you could have just turned around and sold it as a die chip in date and probably made $10, $15, $20. It's Mint State to boot, so it's a high quality coin. But let's go ahead and take a look at a few others. So Mint Error 1960D Lincoln Cent, small date. Okay, that is a small date. Die chips in B and 6 of date, reverse S. All right, NGC Mint State 66 red. It's a nice high grade for the coin, but this has you can see the die chip, a little bit of a die chip there in the 6. Let's see, the R in Liberty and the B right in that little notch area, or the little enclosure area. What's the S? Reverse S. Is it? Yeah, right there in states. All right. So someone paid a good chunk of money for this, but don't be fooled. $84.38. I mean, you probably make about $35 off this coin, but it has to be a mint state 66. Red. That's a high grade for a Lincoln. That's a tough grade. That's tougher than you realize. All right. There's a bunch of National Park quarters. If you guys are collecting 2019s or 2020s, die chips are an absolute certainty for a lot of the Philadelphia struck coins. And then check and see how much you're selling for. And then consider that NGC is grading these coins. So some of them you're not even making any money on. Here's another 55D Lincoln. So this is a BIE AU50. Sold for $26. There's just a few of them. There's a bunch of them. But look, some of them are as low as $14. And then you still have to pay great collections. Yes, you still have to pay money to eBay, to sell coins. What's with 10% and then 3% off the top for PayPal payments? I mean, it's like, man, it's the definition of insanity when you're trying to grade these type of minor mid errors. You just want to be able to sit down and make sure you do this religiously. If you think you want to grade these minor errors, sit down with a sheet of paper in front of you and do some basic math. How much is it going to cost to grade these coins? How much is it going to be per coin to ship? Because you could send off 10 coins, shipping might cost $30. So you would have to break down $3 per coin. Okay, do a little division. And then go ahead and weigh and see how much these coins would sell on the secondary market. If you sold it through great collections, it's a much more stiffer fee. All right. I always would say great collections is fantastic when you have a coin or a number of coins that are worth over $500. All right. They are kind of like they specialize in the higher end coin sales. But as you can see, a lot of like mid-rangey $15 to $30. There's a $40 Alaska State quarter. A lot of cheap stuff. So yeah, die chips, die cracks. Yeah, I wouldn't even bother. But that's pretty much it. Those are top 3. There's going to be a few that I've personally missed that are close. I mean, there are a few errors I would say are pretty close to where I would say, you know what? I wouldn't necessarily grade them because the type of error speaks for themselves, and the valuation of those types is just so low that it wouldn't even make sense. Okay, one that comes to mind is misaligned dies. You would be surprised how many people think that misaligned dies are worthy of a graded slab. I would say no. There's not enough misaligned die coins that are worth over, say, $150 to $200 that justifies a slab. Okay, there aren't that many. I mean, you would need to have a substantial misalignment from the obverse to the reverse, and those are few and far between out there in circulation, let alone as a cherry pick at a coin dealer. So I hope this video, with all of its quirkiness, because I don't know, I love doing videos like this and showing you guys concrete evidence that you don't need to grade every single error coin you come across, and you would be surprised, oh my god, how many non-errors people have sent me that end up, at the end of the day being a question. Can and should I grade this? And I keep telling people no. And then some people actually get upset at me because I said no. And then they'll throw it in my face and it's like, man, that's not what you said. Like, I did not say that in the first place. I always back up everything I say with hard evidence. Everything is available online, ladies and gentlemen. If you need to audit your data to where you want to do something, specific, whether it's grading an error or grading in general, or collecting a certain coin, thinking that maybe one date is more rare than the other, or varieties, always do your research online. Okay, I'm just the type of person that'll lead you to the water while you drink it. And that's all. That's really what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, happy Christmas Eve. Okay, some of you will probably be watching this. It'll be like in the middle of March. So if that were the case, happy Easter or whatever. I want to thank each and every single one of you for joining in on this video. Hopefully you got a lot of takeaways. Okay, you don't have to grade every single error that you come across. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Hit that good old bell for instant notifications. I'm your boy Blue. And Coinaholics, we are discovering together each and every single day. I wish you guys a fantastic holiday. You guys take care, be safe, and I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.